Welcome to the Therapeutic Food Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Mary Mitchell. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, therapeutic diet expert, and founder of The Road to Living Whole. There are many different diets out there. It's hard to know which one is right for you with your chronic illness and autoimmune disease. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you the foundational pieces every single therapeutic diet out there shares, and also how to use the best one for your particular diagnosis. If you've been looking for a meal planning partner, help navigating the complicated healthcare system, and want to feel better quickly, I'm your girl. Grab your kombucha and notebook. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited for you to learn from today's guest. Her name is Miriam Putnam, so Miriam and Marian. Yeah. And she has an incredible story of loss and chronic illness. She is now on the other side of that and helping people with their mental health through, in general, just mental health, but part of that is grief and loss and illness. And so she just has a lot of hope to bring to you today. And her story is incredible. So I'm really excited for you to listen in and to learn and hopefully walk away feeling inspired and hopeful and ready to kind of continue tackling your chronic illness and symptoms so that you can be in a place of freedom as well. So Miriam, thank you so much for joining me.
Marian, thank you so much for having me. That was a really beautiful introduction. I really appreciate it. It's so wonderful that you're doing this for people to bring hope and share resources and stories. It's really wonderful.
That is my mission, because it is such a lonely world of chronic illness. People don't believe you. Online resources, people are pretty negative, despair with each other, and there's just not a lot of hope. And so, you and I have this mission of bringing hope to people. And so I'm really excited to partner with you and bring you as a resource. I think, again, resources are very, very important to me because I do nutrition, but I don't do everything else, and I wouldn't want to. So can you share with us your story? How did you arrive to where you are today and helping people in the way that you do today?
Well, let's see. It started when I was pretty young and going through a lot of trauma in my family. I grew up in a very well-to-do and privileged background. So when people have this viewpoint where it's like money is an obstacle, like if I only had resources, then I wouldn't be having this experience with the medical community or with mental health or something like that, or if I had better insurance. And from my experience, we had the best insurance that money could buy, so to speak, and access to the best doctors, things like that. And so I learned at a really young age that money is not going to solve everything. It's actually, the system and the resources and being your own advocate. So I don't know exactly like how much you know of the mental health industry, but it is very, very broken, and doctors have extremely bad information still right now. So what I do is I team people up with holistic, integrative, and functional doctors to help people with the true health of their body so that then they can actually begin to work on mind health and soul health. So unfortunately, when I was younger, my mom was in about nearly 15 mental hospitals, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. Like, it can make me cry still to this day, despite the fact that I've done so much work on myself, because it's so devastating when you love someone so much and you're willing to go to the ends of the earth for them, and you keep running into walls, meaning doctors with white coats on saying, if you don't do this, then your mom's going to die. And so I was just on my own journey as far as mental health goes, because I kept seeing my mom take these medications with the effects that are extremely, extremely harmful, and watching her go through dwindling spiral after dwindling spiral, and it not making much sense to me. So I was doing my own research, trying to find doctors, trying to find alternative psychiatrists, and it was just a heart-wrenching heart-wrenching experience, like from interventions to flying across the country to try to help my family with my mom, and just really not finding a pathway. And all the time, Marianne, looking for somebody who could be my mentor, because I just, in my heart of heart, knew that something wasn't right, but I wasn't finding the answer that I needed to help her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so once my mom passed, I really was reinvigorated to become the person that I was looking for when I was younger. That was sort of what it was. Like I I just had to be able to bring my story to people to let them know that there is a way, like there is a solution. And if I knew back then what I know now, my mom would still be with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you became that person. It's so easy to kind of fall into despair
Yeah.
and to just kind of to try to change the system from within is really difficult.
Mm,
And it's not easy. It is that wall and they feel very threatened,
hmm
and very dismissive. But I love that you became that person. And there is so much information out there that, yeah, doctors have bad information, very limited. I feel like they almost take on more than they should when it comes to mental health.
Yeah. Well, they're not mind doctors, right?
Right. And their
Yeah.
tools are very limited, right?
hmm
It's psychiatric drugs that they really don't understand. It's just kind of what the reps tell them it's for.
hmm
And they're humans and they work very hard for very little money these days. And so they're not able to do the research or the specialization that's required. But
hmm
also, as you talked about, is the functional and integrative naturopathic world and the tools and resources that those practitioners have that at this time allopathic doctors don't. So
Yeah.
I could we dive into that a little bit, because I know you have your own chronic illness story, and
hmm
I think that it'll be interesting for people to hear why you refer to these alternative quote unquote practitioners for your clients.
Yeah, I know. I know that they're like considered in a few different, groups as far as alternative, but I look forward to the day when we as society choose them as the mainstream,
Yeah.
because our bodies deserve to be healthy and not over medicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing's a Prozac deficiency type of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that aspect of your journey and how this kind of all blends together.
Well, if it wasn't traumatic enough growing up with my mom, once I was older and already kind of well into my path and helping people and spiritually helping people, mental health helping people, and obviously aligning them with correct doctors, I ended up getting Lyme's disease that turned into neurological Lyme's disease. And it was it wasn't showing up on blood tests.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having these symptoms that were extremely debilitating. And you don't sleep really well. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
like extremely, extremely a sleep queen. If anybody out there is having sleep issues, you can download one of the freebies that I have right now, and it definitely helps. But so, I don't know if you know a lot about neurological Lymes, but it gets to the point where it's seizures and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a couple months, I was having extremely bad symptoms, and doctors were wanting to put me in this like quote unquote mental illness category because nothing was coming up on the blood test.
So it was all
And
in your head.
right. And being who I am, and the fact that I'd grown up like I did, and I already have been a mental health advocate for so long, I didn't fall into that trap. Right. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm an avid human rights advocate and pretty opposed to over medicating individuals and obviously society.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting a blood test a couple months after having these symptoms. I found a doctor that could do the specific test. Actually, it was a friend of mine. She was like, "Well, you never did the vibrant test, so do the vibrant test."
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you're shaking your head like
Yep,
you
that's my
probably have.
favorite. That's my favorite
It's
lab.
my
Yeah.
yeah, it's wonderful. It's a really good lab. And so it tests everything that's bizarre,
Mm-hmm.
and allopathic doctors don't use specialized labs like that.
Right.
So most individuals, I mean, I would even say half the people that are in mental hospitals probably have some bizarre, I don't know, like cat scratch fever or
Yeah.
something,
Cat touch fever, which
some
is a parasite.
right, which is a parasite bacteria, like just things that the regular blood test that Quest or LabCorp that runs, they don't test for things like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's very, very important to get a good lab test to find out really what's going on with the body, because if there's something that's there, we have to know, because if we don't know, then we can't fix it,
Right.
right? So somebody who's like thinks like, oh, if I just cut sugar out of my diet, then everything's going to be better. No, no, really not. If you have like a serious bacteria or parasite in your body, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Now, I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of test don't guess, but you have to have the
Yeah.
right tests. I mean,
I love that.
PCPs can learn a lot just from basic labs if you know what you're looking for. But when it comes to something like pathogens,
Hmm.
further testing is absolutely essential. And allopathic doctors aren't trained in how to read them. They have doctors that, if they want to learn, will teach them and will be consults to the practitioners, which I love. But they can do blood tests. They test for like I think there's up to like 8 or 14 different strains of Lyme.
Yeah.
And then there's stool testing where we can look for parasites and candida and other pathogens. And then there are blood tests that look for those really weird things and they're not that expensive.
Hmm.
So the holistic community has some amazing, amazing resources. And they also do one of the other ones I like is the micronutrient testing
Yeah, that's great.
because if you're deficient in certain nutrients, it can look like mental illness or present like mental
Right.
illness. And so,
Yeah.
there's lots and lots of resources available that are totally underutilized.
Yes. Yes, definitely. There's so many things that are centered in the body, or the root causes found in the body, that present as a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
We have like liver toxicity, allergies, different pathogens, so many different things. And so, unfortunately, I mean, obviously, people that are following this, like your podcast, and interested in their body health aren't falling into the the mainstream media of being overly medicated,
Mm-hmm.
but we live in a world or in a country right now it's still that reality.
Yeah, for sure. And, people that are new to the chronic illness world and become disillusioned, I'm hoping that this is where they start, like they find this podcast.
Yeah.
And it gives them, like I said, the resources and the knowledge to pursue. But sometimes people are really in the thick of it and they, it's what, like 3 to 5 practitioners, 2 to 5 years. Um, and by then they're pretty disillusioned. And so I love that you talk about that. So you had this
Yeah.
doctor who did the blood test, the vibrant blood test, and found the pathogen.
Yeah, finally, once I could figure out exactly what it was, then I wouldn't say it was easy. It was still a long journey for me, but then I could actually do all of the healing modalities that I already knew about to, you know,
Yeah.
obliterate it, basically.
Yeah.
And most people don't end up healing from neurological Lyme's disease.
Right.
And the pathway that most people go on is a port and then lifelong antibiotics, which obviously is not very good for the body. But I didn't have that experience, and I mean, I did take antibiotics for a little bit, but
Yeah.
it didn't clear it up.
Yeah.
I had to do like ozone and PMF and a
Mm-hmm.
Hocket machine, which pumps pure ozone into the body.
Mm-hmm.
And, and 3 to 4 wellness IV drips every single week. And the big kicker for me that helped my body, right? Because we all have individual bodies, and something that might be good for me may not be the best thing for you. So there's not like really a one size fits all for us as far as exactly what one body needs, or exactly what, somebody else may need spiritually, even,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So, there's a lot of testing things to see what's going to work. But what I was going to tell you is the NAD, intravenous NAD, was huge. It was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of shots of stem cells,
Mm-hmm.
and that was huge.
Yeah, it's really just giving the body what it needs and reducing the pathological load enough that the body can handle the rest.
Yeah.
My cousin had three different strains of Lyme. It was not neurological, it was the kind that kind of attacks her joints.
Uh,
And she ended up doing ozone for basically it was like dialysis. And they would do
uh-huh.
like 2/3 of her blood every session once a week for I think it was like 4 or 6 weeks. And at the end of it, she tested negative. She was also doing the IVs with I don't know the full concoction, but it was an absolute game changer for her as
Mm.
well. But she had been dealing with symptoms since I believe I'm trying to think. It must have been as late as 2014, but it could have been earlier. But 2014 is when there really was this just something's happening and it won't get better. So it was like
Wow.
11 years. Well, 2024. So it was at least 10 years. And then finally they were like, I'm just gonna run it. Let's just, it kind of could be, it kind of sort of fits the bills and it ended up that's what it was. And it's been a game changer. So yeah, and not
Wow.
everybody's bodies presents the classic symptoms, even of any sort of disorder. Like, I mean, there's classic Lyme, which is the bullseye rash, but chronic Lyme, I mean, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like autoimmune disease. It's the same pathway. It's just which part of the body is being attacked, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, if I if I communicate anything today to people overall, like the overall thing that I would love to communicate is just to have hope. Like, don't give up. Like, you can beat it. And if you just keep on the pathway and you align yourselves with good holistic doctors and practitioners, then you'll find your way out if that's what you choose to do, right? Because ultimately it's all of our choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What breaks my heart is when I see people that choose to live in their diagnosis and only get so much better. And then when they start to like break through, it's like, if I don't have this disease, who am I? And so they kind of like live in that little bubble. And to me, that's
Hmm.
like the most heartbreaking thing. And one of the things that I will confront on is like,
Yeah.
you're making this your identity and it's not who you are. It's just your symptoms of your body crying out. And,
Yeah.
but when you've been living with it for 10, 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah. It can be hard. It can definitely be hard for people.
So as you're going through all the stuff you already knew, but you went through it yourself. Now, how does that impact your practice as a wellness advocate and the groups that you run and the clients that you take on? What does that look like?
It made me even stronger, Marion. It made me so much stronger of, oh my goodness gracious. Like I already knew the system was broken because I went through it for 20, 25 years and have aligned myself with powerful nonprofits that are dedicated to improving human rights and mental health because unfortunately, mental health is extremely I want to say misunderstood, attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I aligned myself with a really amazing nonprofit called Citizens Commission on Human Rights. So I was already working with them a
Hmm.
lot and working with my clients and teaming up with doctors and doing different things. So once I personally went through something like this, it just made me a stronger advocate. It's just even stronger.
So, what is it about body health that impacts mental health? Because I think that that is something that you know, we've been taught to and tend to think of things as isolated. The brain is isolated, the bones are isolated from the blood, and the kidneys separated from the gallbladder. Everything's really separated, but there's a connection. We're one body, everything communicates. And so when it comes to mental illness, mental wellness, what plays a role in that we have control over?
Well, I just finished a course called Freedom from Stress course, and I go over this in great detail, but I will sort of do a little bit of an
Yeah.
exercise with you here and maybe anybody that's listening. So, our brain is separate from our mind.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, there's some overlap, but it is separate, right? So, we have to take nutrients for our body and we take care of our body, but our mind health is a bit different. And a lot of people have heard of the subconscious or the unconscious mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in the course, I go over an exercise called a mind muscle exercise where someone can get more control and learns that they are actually in control of changing the channels in their mind. So obviously, since a person has a body and then a person has a mind, and and we as souls are operating our body and mind, the more tools that an individual has to control it healthfully,
Mm-hmm.
then the better off that they're going to be. For instance, like, can you tell me a story of a time in your life when you got extreme, extreme joy? Like you're so happy, something that you love doing, if it's like hiking, paddleboarding, eating ice cream, riding a bike, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I love being a mom. Like
Mm,
when my kids and what I'm thinking about a recent one that just like burst me with joy was I have a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And my
mm,
16-year-old is not home very often. He works a lot and, off with friends. And so they were all at the table and I'm feeding them dinner and they're just laughing hysterically with each other and talking. And like my heart wanted to like swell out of my chest. It was just like the fact that my kids are friends and like each other and love each other was just like
mm.
the biggest blessing.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So you get a lot of joy out of being a mom and being with your kids and watching them get
Hmm.
along. And like, can you see the food that you're eating at the table? Do you see it?
Yes.
Like in your
Hmm.
mind?
Yeah.
I don't know, eyes opened or eyes
Hmm.
closed, right? You see
Yeah.
it, and then you see the movement of their bodies. Maybe you can even smell the food and taste the food if you're actually putting the food in your mouth. So that whole entire picture has movement
Hmm.
in it, right? And we can
Right.
actually like spiritually go back and almost re-experience that. And so I will help people a lot of times sort of get that picture really real to them so that they can think about that more often so that it's kind of like the idea of going to the gym and somebody's like lifting weights and you're exercising your biceps or you're exercising your legs or whatever. Well, you can help yourself have a more positive mindset by thinking about things that actually make you happy. So it's totally different from guided imagery or something
Hmm.
like that, right? Because I'm not saying, okay, close your eyes and walk down the path and, birds are chirping and blah, blah, blah. It's like the person taking control of their mind and their life and thinking about the things that make them happy on purpose. So it's on purpose
Hmm.
and scheduling those times to take a walk, to look at the environment, to create space. So understanding and realizing that a person is in control of their mind and can make themselves more positive, right? Because people talk about, oh, positive mindset, have a positive mindset, positive mindset. When you're somebody that is dealing with a chronic illness
Hmm.
and it is like almost debilitating and quote unquote depressing,
Hmm.
like rather the person is taking a psychiatric medication or not, there has to be something where a person can do physically or mentally to help themselves be able to create that positive mindset or make their manifestations work. Because if a person is chronically ill or a person isn't chronically ill, right, just
Right.
anyone, and they're super stressed out and living in their unconscious mind a lot of time because whatever, maybe bills won't stop coming in the mail or they have a relationship or marriage issue or I don't know, all of us have so many different things all the time happening.
Right.
So this gives someone a way to first off get a positive mindset there so that then they can think about the future, right?
Right.
Because if somebody who has a chronic illness or not, if there's no way for that person to create a future in their mind, right, spiritually on where they're going and going forward, then it's very difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak,
Right.
right? Like, how am I going to get through this? Like, what does that picture look like? Where am I going?
Yeah.
Like, do I have a healthy body in the next 6 months? And how does that look? Like, what are my healthy habits? How do I get there? So, yeah, I like to do that with
How
people.
empowering. What I love is that because I went through this really terrible blindsided breakup, and for a year and a half, life was just really hard. I felt like I was in a washing machine. I couldn't get my feet. Like
Mm,
I was struggling so hard. And sometimes I have my faith, and so I was praying, but sometimes that would actually make me
yeah.
cycle, and I would dwell, and
Mm,
I couldn't just not think about it and think about something else. And what I love about that is you're not imagining something abstract, but you're fully remembering the beautiful things that happen in your life. And yeah, as a muscle, thinking about those on purpose, and then when you're thinking about it on purpose, you create more of those moments. And so it's
yeah.
almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, but in a way that removes shame or blame or focusing on the problem, but just focusing on yeah, like, and then I'm thinking about like some of the hikes that I've done, and like, yeah, there's a lot. Paddleboarding. My son loves to kayak, and how he would just sit in the middle of the lake, and for him, and so it's like,
Yeah.
how incredibly powerful. I have not heard that one before, and I absolutely love
I'm
that.
gonna have to trademark it. Well, I'm just literally finally getting on to speak and then working on my book. It's been quite a road. I've
Yeah.
had quite a road.
And what a blessing. And I do think you should, because that's so incredibly different and so incredibly powerful. Um,
Yeah, well, you're the one in control of your mind.
yeah.
And so just doing something simple like that can help a person be able to, just gain more control over it.
Hmm.
And like recognize that if they're super depressed or things are really bad, well, the person has to do something to change the channel.
Hmm.
We have to like change the channel in our minds so we can actually move forward.
Yeah. How
Hmm.
powerful. I absolutely love
Yeah,
that.
well, I mean, I've studied a lot, and I'm a spiritual counselor. So it's through a lifelong studying process that I've been on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a powerful tool. And I mean, I'll use it every single day
Hmm.
almost when I go on walks. I go on walks and I look at the house, I look at the mailbox, I look at the person, and I don't look at my phone,
Hmm.
but it takes like constant doing that to have a healthy habit, to train ourselves to notice the color of the leaves, notice the color of the shirt that the person has on, notice if there's birds in the sky, notice the shape of the clouds, like actually purposely do it
Yeah.
so that we're not taking ourselves on an automatic rinse and repeat of playing the stress over and over and over and over again in our mind. Because when we do that, we make things
Hmm.
worse, is what we do.
Yep, been there, done that. I'm
Yeah.
a worry.
Oh, me
I'm
too,
a worry
girl.
wart, and I have to constantly work on not being a worry wart.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I do. I love that. I love that, and I am guilty of being on autopilot a lot.
Hmm.
Having a 1 year old again, like, and their wonder with the world, it really slows me down. I'm thinking like, but even then, I get lost in the parenting of
Yeah,
my kids,
sure.
and
You're busy.
yeah.
You're busy mama. Yeah.
Um, so, and I know that it's a practice, and
Yeah, it's a
a
practice.
powerful one, but you don't realize
Yeah,
how
it's a practice.
powerful until you do it. But
Yeah.
I love that it's not shame based. I love that it's not somebody else planting things in your head, but it's just you learning to exercise that muscle and getting it really strong, and how powerful that is.
Right. And obviously it's a pretend muscle, but I actually mean, I kind of can put it there in my mind, like that if I'm not the one controlling life, then life is controlling
Hmm.
me. And that's true for almost all of us.
Right.
Like if we are not the ones executing something in the physical universe, then the physical universe is going to handle us with whatever the physical universe decides to send,
Yeah.
right? Call it God, call it devil, call it the, universal energy, call it, people have different religious philosophies or spiritual practices, right? Whatever works for somebody,
Hmm.
then they think about it in that way. But the fact is that we all have a body, we all have a mind, and we all are spirits. So, you know, use tools in the way that works well for them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
along with that exercise, where do you talk about the role of nutrition and sleep and exercise, like physical, like environmental impacts?
Well, I mean, if I was doing individual coaching with somebody, I definitely
Mm-hmm.
would, but I go over a little bit of that in the soul health module in the course, which is how do the people around you make you feel? Like, do you feel better around them or do you feel worse?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there are certain individuals that kind of want to take our positive energy, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? And so I look at that as far as like an environmental thing. Like maybe you mean as far as our body. But like as far as the body goes, I stay out of like the professional level of like what a doctor would
Mm-hmm.
do because I feel like there's a lot of people that fill that
Yeah.
role for individuals and it's just basic hatting that I go over, which is nutrition, sleep, and nutrition, sleep, and exercise. I guess I'm talking about mind muscle exercise. And so I'm like, wait, no, body health exercise too. And yeah, I mean, it's really, I leave it up to the individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are our own captains of our ship, right? And so we are going to decide whatever works best for us
Mm-hmm.
individually. And I get into more spiritual techniques when I'm working with somebody in person. But just doing wellness coaching, it's basically helping a person be accountable to their own decisions. I don't like to supersede or override
Mm-hmm.
someone's own determinism, right? Like whatever's going to be comfortable to them. Maybe they've never exercised before, so maybe just walking 2 times a week might be the proper gradient for them.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever's comfortable to the person, you
Yeah.
know? The biggest changes happen small steps at a time.
Yeah. Um,
A very wise person told me a long time ago when I was going through a rough time along this very long personal wellness journey of mine. She was like, if you think that even just every single day it gets 1% better, just 1%,
yeah.
right? Because a lot of times, all of us, we get so frustrated that it's just like not perfect today.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, this is still happening. But the reality is, if we focus on the small steps and the successes, then by the end of the year, it's 360% better.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. So many people just want to rush in. Basically, the pharmaceutical model, you take it, antibiotic, you take it and you start feeling better in 24 hours, and in 10 days, you're good to go. And when it comes to wellness, it's definitely a 1% thing. People set themselves up for failure with wanting immediate results.
Yeah.
And I also think they want to be free of the pain. They want to be
Hmm.
free of the mourning. They want to be free of all of it. And they
Sure.
just they want it gone right away. And I think part of the blessing of chronic illness is that you learn how to make yourself a priority and make self-care a priority so you can your cup is overflowing instead of draining to give to others, because we live in community. We have to give of ourselves, especially if we're in families or any sort of relationship. There's a give and take, and if you're constantly giving but not taking care of yourself, then the cup runs empty. And I think
Right.
it's an absolute blessing. The silver lining of it all is that you learn that taking care of yourself is not selfish, that
Hmm.
it is something that allows you to be the best version of yourself to the people that you love and the world around you.
Right.
Um, but in the thick of it, it's really, really hard.
Yeah, totally. It really is. It's really, really hard when somebody's going through the thick of it, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, because then somebody has to buckle down and it's really survival.
Hmm.
Like, what do I have to do to survive this?
Yeah. And what I love about your exercise is moments of, instead of the world. tossing you around, you take back that control. And then it gets easier over time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like for the first week or so, maybe even 2 weeks, it's not always easy to remember to do it. But, people can put like timers in their phone or however they like to do
Hmm.
that. A lot of times I work with somebody on creating their wellness vision,
Hmm.
right? And so like take out your magic wand and like, what does that look like? Like paint the picture. Paint the picture. I mean, if you're not painting the picture, then how does the picture get made?
Yeah, I love that. For
Right? Like
me,
what?
I love to journal. I love to get my thoughts out on paper.
Hmm.
And so like journaling what you want your life to look like every morning, just taking the time, grab your notebook and the things that if you could wave the magic wand, this is what your life would look like. And I do believe that you know our brains are plastic, they're not stone, like they're flexible, right? And we can change our thought process. We don't always have to be negative, we don't always have to be stressed, we can be slow and joyful and present in the moment, and we can create our lives if that's what we're focusing on, for good or for bad. And if we focus on
Hmm.
what we want, and some people I know like vision boards where they have pictures of everything that they want. I love
Hmm.
writing it, like making it
Yeah,
happen every day. um
that's
but
cool.
it was one of those things that I kind of learned in business, but then seeing how it affects the personal life is
Hmm.
was just really, really powerful.
That's great. Sounds like you're already kind of doing a mind
Yeah.
muscle
Yeah.
exercise.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
neat.
But when you're in the thick of it, it's really hard to remember to do, and it's really hard to do.
Hmm.
It's a lot easier when you feel better,
Hmm.
and so the
Yeah,
thought
definitely.
of making that happening feels so much more tangible than when you're in the thick of it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that that's where the struggle bus really is like, oh yeah, that would be so nice, but this, but that, and it's like, you
Yeah.
still have
Well,
it.
I mean, I know, but it's up to us. It's up to us to create it,
Yeah.
really. It's up to us to create it.
And I think
So
that that's so
nothing really
empowering.
happens.
I don't like having things not in my control. I'm a terrible patient because I want to be a partner on the treatment plan. Um,
No, I think that's
yeah,
great. I think that's ideal scene. I mean, that's really, taking responsibility for one's health and, because the doctor doesn't necessarily know what's going to be the best thing
yeah,
in the whole entire world for you,
yeah. And one size
meaning
fits
like your
all
mind and your soul.
never.
There's just
Yeah.
not.
Um, so what I love is how empowering this is, that there's something tangible people can do, and that if they're really, really struggling with it, you have your course, you have your one-on-one coaching. And so I think that, for the people who sit down and just cannot do it, I love that you have those options, because
Yeah.
that's just so incredibly helpful, because it's so easy to get, okay, this is what I should do. And then you're like, I don't know how this works. Right.
Yeah. No, I know.
Um,
Yeah, totally.
and I'm the same. That's why I created,
Baby steps are just like writing it down,
yeah,
right? I mean, I'm here with you, so then you could tell me,
yeah,
right? But really, like writing it down is, what do I see? What do I hear? How do I feel? What do I smell? Like all the perceptions that somebody can get when they remember feeling joy,
yeah,
right? Because if you're dealing with lots and lots of stress, be it chronic illness or be it something else
yeah,
that's extremely stressful in life, it's not always easy to make yourself think about that.
yeah.
But like somebody that I work with very closely, I got this person to write it down and then like put it somewhere where, they could actually read
Hmm.
it to remind themselves to think about that
Yeah,
so that, it gives us a way to be more conscious.
yeah,
How do we have a positive mindset? Well, we have to actually be the ones that create it.
yeah. And what I
Yeah.
love about that is like, okay, this is what I want. So then you can look around and go, well, maybe I need to clean, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I need to buy some bedding that's not torn, or,
Right.
it's like these little things that like, oh, well, if this is the life that I want, then I need to do this. So it's empowering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's empowering, right? Because like then when you're looking at the future or you're thinking about the memories that have made you the most happy, then you kind of put yourself in a place of, okay, like you said, what does the plan look like to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Am I scheduling that activity on my calendar every single week, or is this something that I need, you know, I can only do once a month? Or, what does that look like?
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll ask people, like, when are you scheduling the soul health? When are you scheduling that? Like, when are you going to go and sit down and write? Or when are you going to go paint? Or when are you going to go to a pantry and volunteer? Or when are you going to cook? Or when are you going to do those things that make you really happy?
Yeah. And what I love is, again, so many people just feel like, especially with chronic illness, that they just have no control, that this is happening. There's nothing that can be done about it. They're trying everything and nothing's getting better. But
Yeah, but those thoughts and that communication is
yep,
self-defeating,
yep,
right? So I work with people a lot in restructuring and reframing the communication that they are saying out loud and to themselves, right? Because whatever we're communicating, we are creating our reality,
yep.
right? God gives us power of choice. I don't know exactly your specific,
Mm-hmm.
religious affiliation, but like however somebody looks at God, like I think of it as like a bigger entity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have free will,
Yep.
right? So we can create what we'd like to create with our lives.
Yeah.
And so the power is within us to exercise the mind muscle and get to a point where you're saying, okay, this is not great today, but I'm changing it.
Yeah.
Like, even if the person can just start saying things a little bit different, like, okay, this sucks, and I'm going to do the things in order to change it because I don't want to have this reality longer than 3 more months or longer than whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
I love that. So if people
Yeah.
wanted to connect with you, how do they do that?
Somebody can look up Miriam Putnam and contact me through my website, or even Instagram is fine. But I have a free gift today too, if you think anybody would be
Yeah.
interested in downloading it. Sort of the overall tips that I go over in the course are on a free PDF to download. So it's yourwellnesschecklist.com. So
Awesome.
somebody can get that and then, kind of get a little bit of the mind and soul health
How
little
helpful.
lessons. And the course is called Freedom from Stress course. So anyway, and then somebody could probably get in touch with me through you.
Yes. Yeah, I will make sure to put all the information I have in the show notes. I love
Okay.
that the resources that you have for people, and I'm just so grateful for you taking the time to share your story, both of them, and just again your passion
Mhm.
for helping people navigate through mental illness, mental wellness world, and how challenging that is. We definitely need
Yeah.
reform, and
Yes, we definitely need reform. Reform is a very good word for that,
yeah,
Marianne.
yeah. And so, I'm so grateful you are tackling it from within. And I hope
Mhm.
that we multiply you,
Yes. Yeah.
and are able to truly have, our own integrative mental health world to compete with the
Yes.
allopathic one. That's like a dream
Yes.
of mine, is that we have as many, integrative psychiatrists and integrative psychologists and just people who trust that the mind body and the whole everything's connected. That's like my
Mhm.
dream, is that there's a field for that one day. And I think that you were.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, I think like even just starting out, if we could just get hospitals just to kind of put some wellness in
Yeah,
there would be
some
fantastic.
nutrient dense food would be pretty amazing.
Yes, nutrient. I mean, like really, this is like bottom of the barrel. Let me just get like something other than, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Just like let's introduce some nutrition and some just healthy habits, and let's turn away from sick
yeah,
care.
yep. I'm right there with you. I have a close friend who was in a facility for a few days and is, getting treatment, and it was not pretty. The biggest help was
Mm-hmm.
they put him on a medication that helped his stomach pain so he can eat. But other than that, he's
Yeah.
like, it's all BS.
Yeah.
and I'm
I
just
can
like,
imagine.
and I'm like, and he's like, so he's coming to church with us and all of that, and that's been wonderful. But it's like it's just so heartbreaking when you see people in it and knowing that there's so many more options, and they're just giving them crap food and crap medication and just kind of almost tossing their hands like there's nothing else.
Right. Yeah, I know, but I mean, I think that that's where we get into the area of preventative care,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So I talk to a lot of people about that, right? Like, let's get to a place as society where we are doing the right things so that we don't get super duper sick. And like, obviously, emergencies happen and
Right.
things happen, and we can't, we have to be prepared for that. But once we have our healthy habits, and it's a lot easier to come out of the emergency than somebody who's been, not sleeping well, not eating well, not exercising, and then have to do all of that to be able to unwind a emergency is pretty tough.
Yeah. It's
Like for me, I think like it was much easier for me to survive something that honestly not everybody does, right?
mhm,
Because I was already very dedicated to wellness IVs and to integrative doctors and to all the things that I do, like spiritually and mentally.
mhm.
So it's preventative,
Yeah.
I think that's where we got to go.
I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for joining me and again joining my audience. I really appreciate it.
Yes, definitely.
What a wonderful conversation I had with Miriam today. Be sure to download her links and reach out to her if you are in need of her giveaway and her programs. If you are looking for help with the nutrition side of healing, my coaching program, The Therapeutic Food Framework, will teach you exactly how to give your body what it needs to heal without all the trial and error I had to do in my 7-year healing journey. You get meal plans with simple recipes, grocery store shortcuts to save you time in the kitchen and meal planning for work and kids, and coaching sessions with me to help you in the areas that you need to make it all work. You'll find more information on the framework in my show notes, and you can also learn more about me and my coaching style on my website, roadtolivinghole.com. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you found this episode helpful, would you do me a favor and help others find it by leaving a review, sharing a screenshot on social media, or sharing the link with a friend? By you sharing what you've learned, others are able to find this podcast and join our community. Be sure to check out my website, www.roadtolivinghole.com, for over 160 delicious recipes, a variety of meal plans, and a blog packed full of even more healthy living tips. If you'd like to learn more about how to work with me as your coach, you can schedule a free consult through www.roadtolivinghole.com/health-coaching/. Until next time, friend. Bye.